Good morning to everyone. I am Dr. Siti Mayame, Assistant Professor of General Medicine Department. Today my topic is pathophysiology and clinical evolution and complication of cirrhosis and portal hypertension. First, cirrhosis. What is meant by cirrhosis means it is defined as irreversible chronic liver injury, especially the hepatic parenchyma, and there will be extensive fibrosis with formation of regenerative nodules. These nodules may be micronodules and macronodules. Micronodules means less than 3 mm and macronodules means several centimeter in size. What are the causes for cirrhosis? Main causes is viral hepatitis B, C and D, and next will be alcohol, and third will be non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, and fourth will be metabolic diseases, especially hemochromatosis, Wilson's disease, diabetes mellitus and antitrypsin D deficiencies. And fifth cause will be cholecystitis, or sixth will be hepatic venous outflow tract obstruction, and seventh will be any disturbed immunities, and eighth will be toxins and drugs, and 11th will be syphilis and cystic fibrosis or any gastroplasty. And schistosomiasis is the one of the cause for cirrhosis, and cardiac failure also produces cirrhosis, and last will be cryptogenic. It is an unknown etiology cause of cirrhosis. And morphological classification, the cirrhosis is micronodular, macronodular and mixed type. These are the three types. And mainly based on the etiological classification, alcoholic cirrhosis, post-necrotic cirrhosis, biliary cirrhosis, cardiac cirrhosis and metabolic cirrhosis, and other is miscellaneous. First is alcoholic cirrhosis. It is defined as diffuse, fine scarring and fairly uniform loss of liver cells and small regenerative nodules. And in etiology, mainly consumption of alcohol in male 21 units and in female 14 units per day will produce alcoholic cirrhosis. And usually in cirrhosis, there will be a hepatocyte degeneration and necrosis. So the damaged hepatocytes will contain Mallory bodies, and there will be a regeneration and formation of nodules. These are the main pathology. In clinical features, mainly the patient will have anorexia, weight loss, muscle wasting, jaundice and fatigability, and other signs of liver cell failure such as parotid gland, lacrimal gland enlargement, clubbing of fingers, and alopecias and gynecomascias, and there will be a firm nodular liver that will be enlarged, normal or sometimes decreased in size. Mainly there will be mild to moderate splenomegaly and portal hypertension, and some patient will develop hepatic coma. In enlarged liver, usually seen in early stage of cirrhosis, primary biliary cirrhosis, sclerosing cholangitis, hemochromatosis and Wilson's disease. And in pathophysiology, there will be decreased detoxification, alteration of the hepatic blood flow and reduction in functional cell mass. So there will be decreased synthesis of albumin, coagulation factor and other proteins. And there will be reduced platelet count. In investigation, we have to do AST, ALT level, especially elevation of AST which is more in Wilson's disease. Usually AST, ALT level which is greater than 2 in alcoholic patients. And prolonged serum prothrombin time, serum albumin level will be depressed. And the patient will have leukopenia, thrombocytopenia, glucose intolerance and elevated ammonias and other electrolyte metabolites such as hyponatremia, hypokalemia, hypophosphatemia, hypobiglycemia and respiratory alkalosis. And usually ultrasound we can see the liver size, and liver biopsy is the confirmatory for diagnosis. Treatment, we should stop alcohol and diet enriched with protein and amino acids, and drug should be given cautiously. And cryptogenic cirrhosis means the cirrhosis that occurs without any etiology, that is cryptogenic cirrhosis. And complication of cirrhosis mainly portal hypertension, ascites, hepatic encephalopathy, spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, hepatorenal syndrome, hepatocellular carcinoma, coagulopathy, malnutrition, hepatopulmonary syndrome, and bone disorders and hematological disorders such as anemia, neutropenia, thrombocytopenia and hemolysis. And first complication will be portal hypertension. Portal hypertension, normally the portal vein pressure will be 10 to 15 cm or 7 to 10 mm Hg. When the portal pressure which is more than 10 mm Hg, it is known as portal hypertension. And the varicose bleeding occurs when the pressure will be more than 12 mm Hg. And classification of portal hypertension is based on portal vein, obstruction in the portal vein, intrahepatic vein or hepatic vein obstruction. And clinical features, mainly this portal hypertension patient will have ascites, encephalopathy, congestive gastropathy, splenomegaly and collateral circulation with varices formation. And usually the major site for collaterals are esophageal and gastric varices, second will be hemorrhoids and Capworth Medicae, and other site is retroperitoneal vein, lumbar vein or omental vein or a bare area of liver. And investigation for portal hypertension, we have to do fibrotic esophagoscopy and we have to measure the portal venous pressure. USG abdomen, we can see the portal hypertension such as features such as splenomegaly, ascites, portal vein thrombosis. And portal venogram can also be done to see the site and cause of portal venous obstruction. And mainly the causes for prehepatic will be portal vein thrombosis. For intrahepatic, it is divided into pre-sinusoidal, sinusoidal, post-sinusoidal. Pre-sinusoidal mainly schistosomiasis, and sinusoidal it will be cirrhosis, alcoholic cirrhosis or cryptogenic. Post-sinusoidal mainly hepatic vein thrombosis. For post-hepatic cause, pericarditis or tricuspid regurgitation or inferior vena cava web. These are based on the classifications. And mainly the complication of portal hypertension, varicose bleeding, congestive gastropathy, hypersplenism, ascites, renal failure, and hepatic encephalopathies. Management, we have to give beta blockers such as propranolol, and we have to treat the underlying cause such as alcoholic hepatitis, chronic active hepatitis, so that we can reduce the portal venous pressure. And next complication will be varicose bleeding. When the pressure of the portal venous system is more than 12 mmHg, there will be varicose bleeding. Main site will be esophageal varices or gastric varices. And main predisposing factor for bleeding are large varices, liver failure, drugs, tense ascites, and endoscopic variceal stigmata such as red spots or red stripes. These are the factors for bleeding. Clinical features: patient will have shock, tachycardia, BP less than 90, output will be less than 30 ml per hour, urine output. And management will be, we have to replace the blood, and we have to monitor the venous pressure and urine output, mental status, and we have to give fresh frozen plasmas. And we have to give vasoconstrictors such as vasopressin, terlipressin, and octreotide, somatostatins, and nitrates can be given to prevent bleeding. And balloon tamponade can be done, and endoscopic sclerotherapy can be done, and surgery, endoscopic banding, ligation can also be done. Surgeries, we have to create the portal systemic shunt to prevent the decompression of the portal system. And usually, to prevent the recurrent bleeding, we have to give beta blockers, sclerotherapy, band ligation, and TIPS. That is transjugular intrahepatic portosystemic shunt surgery. And portosystemic shunt surgery should be done. Last option will be liver transplantation. And ascites. Ascites is the accumulation of the free fluid in the peritoneal cavity. Main causes will be cirrhosis or malignant disease or hepatic and tuberculosis or nephrotic syndrome. These are the cause for ascites. And hepatic venous obstruction, Budd-Chiari syndrome or pancreatitis or lymphatic obstruction are the causes for ascites. And mainly in ascites, we have a transudate and exudate. In transudate, main cause will be cirrhosis of liver, whereas exudate, bacterial infection, tuberculosis, and tumor. And main pathogenesis for ascites will be portal hypertension or any increase in sodium and water resorptions, and imbalance between the formation and removal of the hepatic or gut lymph, and hypoalbuminemia. These are the main causes for ascites. In ascites, we have to see, we have to do the diagnostic tapping, and we have to send for protein content, differential count, and cytology for malignant cells, gram stain, smear, and culture of AFB should be done. And in one of the complications of ascites is spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. Here, the infected ascitic fluid in the absence of secondary cause of peritonitis. Mainly, the organism will be Streptococci, Campylobacter, coliform organisms. Mainly, this is due to bacterial translocation from the gut to the mesenteric nodes. And clinical feature: patient will have fever, abdominal pain, and tenderness, and reduced bowel sounds. Main criteria for diagnosis is clinical features with polymorph more than 250, or if polymorph more than 500, it is considered for diagnosis of spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. The treatment will be injection of cefotaxime, 1 gram IV can be given for 7 days, and prophylactic treatment is norfloxacin and ciprofloxacin. And investigation for ascites will be ascitic fluid analysis. We can see X-ray abdomen, ultrasound abdomen, and CT abdomen can also be done. Management will be daily weight chart, input output chart, bed rest, and in the case of gross ascites or thin ascites, we have to give diuretics such as spironolactone and furosemides can be given. And fluid restriction should be done, and paracentesis if there is a severe distension, and if it is interactable ascites, peritoneal shunt and albumin transfusion, and you have to treat the underlying cause of ascites. And next complication will be hepatic coma. In hepatic coma is a neuropsychiatric syndrome which is characterized by decreased conscious level, behavioral changes, personality changes, asterixis, and electroencephalographic changes. Mainly the hepatic coma will be acute, subacute, and chronic. Chronic is irreversible. And the stages are, there are 4 stages, in which stage 1 there will be euphoria, stage 2 lethargy, stage 3 marked confusion, stage 4 coma. And precipitating factors: increased nitrogen load such as gastrointestinal bleeding, excessive dietary protein, uremia. And second, electrolyte imbalance. And third, any drugs such as narcotics or sedatives or diuretic overusage, or any large binge of alcohol, tips, or large volume of paracentesis, or any infection or surgeries or progressive liver diseases precipitates hepatic coma. And mainly here, the abnormality in the nitrogen metabolism, ammonia gets accumulated in the brain. And clinical features mainly brain edema, unconsciousness, altered sleep pattern, asterixis, dysarthria, and mild alexia, and deep tendon reflex exaggerated plantar extensor, and change in handwriting, constructional apraxia, and fetal hepaticus. These are the clinical features. Diagnosis based on elevation of serum ammonia, and EEG shows reduced alpha waves. That is the main diagnosis for hepatic coma. And treatment will be elimination of the precipitating factors. We have to give bowel sterilization by giving rifaximin, avoid constipation by giving lactulose, and nasogastric aspiration can be done, avoid overuse of diuretics and sedatives, and protein restriction should be done, and intravenous mannitol for cerebral edema. And nowadays levodopa and bromocriptine keto analogs can be used, and zinc supplementation can be given. Best option is liver transplantation. And next complication is hepatorenal syndrome. There will be a progressive functional renal failure in severe liver diseases. Especially here, the kidneys are anatomically and histologically functionally normal. And usually there are two types of hepatorenal syndrome, type 1, type 2. Type 1 is a poor prognosis, type 2 is a good prognosis. Type 1, there will be rapid progressive renal failure, especially less than 2 weeks. There will be a progressive rise in serum creatinine level. Whereas type 2, there will be a reduction in GFR level with increased creatinine level, but it is slowly progressive, so it is a better prognosis. And precipitating factors are spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, a large volume of paracentesis without any volume expansions. And pathogenesis, there will be alteration in the hemodynamic of the kidney, there will be decreased effective blood volume and increased sympathetic dose. And main criteria for hepatorenal syndrome, there will be a chronic or acute liver diseases with advanced hepatic failure with portal hypertension, and low GFR with serum creatinine more than 1.5, and absence of any use of nephrotoxic drugs. And other no sustained improvement in renal function even after withdrawal of diuretics or even after giving isotonic saline. And proteinuria should be less than 500, and there is no USG shows renal diseases. And usually the management for hepatorenal syndrome will be removal and treatment of underlying precipitating factors. Especially diuretics should be stopped, and dehydration should be treated, and hemorrhage or infection should be treated, and avoid nephrotoxic drugs. We have to give salt poor albumin can be given, and we have to give systemic vasoconstrictor, especially terlipressin. Nowadays, currently midodrine octreotide with IV albumin can be used. And dialysis is the best indicated for reversible liver diseases. And so liver transplantation and portal caval shunt can be done, and it is a definitive treatment for hepatorenal syndrome. Thank you.